We've come through hard trials, heartaches, and pains. We've come through storm, sunshine, snow, and rain. We've come over pitfalls and snares that Satan has set. God, we come because God has never failed us yet. With a song in our hearts and a prayer in our souls, we've come. That's how we made it for us. 157 years, trusting in Jesus all the way. Lights sometimes went out, our ways got dim sometimes, but Jesus has been with us every step of the way. With a song in our hearts and a prayer in our souls, we've come. Eliza Tibbets, a slave lady, promised 40 acres of land by her master, John Hunley, who died before he could make it legal. After the Emancipation Proclamation came into play, she hired a prominent lawyer, the Secretary of the State of Kentucky, to represent her to help her purchase the land that had been promised to her. After acquiring the land promised to her, which was wet, swampy, undergrowth land that was thought to be uninhabitable, called the Wetwoods, people came together to file leases to build their log cabin houses. Eliza Tibbets invited them into her home to start the Forest Baptist Church, named after the wooded area where they sat on logs in fair weather to worship were the buildings that they had started to build. It is said that those who had buggies and scourges would ride to Liberty Street to the Green Street Baptist Church, who organized them to become the church in this our historical Petersburg, Newburgh community. The church built one room building in the yard in 1891. The first trustees of the church and school were Louis Bartlett, Butler Goodwin, and William King. The school was held in the backyard of the church, where the first teacher named Mr. William H. Faulkner. Reverend Jacob Keller, a former slave whose owner taught him how to read and write, became the first pastor of this newly formed church. They continued worship service in a one-room building. Church families were able to attend Sunday school on Sunday evenings, with only a few families able to read. A school was established with the church. Milk, butter, eggs, poultry, meat, vegetables, fruit, and other provisions served as payment for teachers in place of money. The architecture charged from a log building to a frame building, stained with glass windows and a bell. Previously, the bell hung from a tree. The ringing of the bell signified the beginning of community events and welcomed all families, new families to the community. The historical bell is currently housed in the cafeteria at Newburgh Middle School. In the early 20s, a new subdivision called New Addition was developed in the area. The growth of New Addition caused the attendance at Forest to grow. Also, they could not get from New Addition over to where Forest was because of in the wintertime, the creek would overflow. And there was another reason why they built organized Forest Tabernacle Baptist Church. After Forest Tabernacle Baptist Church came Greater Faith. Out of Community Baptist Church came Saho. So you have those four churches that we are the mother church of those churches, and we're proud of that, saying that we're doing what God had told us to do in spreading the gospel throughout the community. Under the guidance and leadership of Reverend Leah Brooks, Sunday School at Forest Baptist Church produced 6 departments, enrolled in more than 300 members. On Sunday evening, a Baptist training union would take place with an average of 60 members in attendance. Though growth was prospering among the community church, it soon experienced a great loss, and in 1953, a fire completely destroyed the church building. I was in the fifth grade at the time, sitting in the basement of the school when they caught on fire. And the children, because of the overgrowth of the community, they had to worship in the basement of the church. It just so happened that on that day, they had gone to lunch when the furnace blew up. And we were so grateful that nobody was hurt in that fire. Reverend Brooks resigned after 27 years of faithful service and dedicated leadership. Forrest installed Reverend James Washington as their pastor, but in 1976, a fire once again destroyed the church. As the reconstruction for a new building began, local churches as well as Newburgh Elementary School opened their doors to support the Forrest ministry. We also met in the funeral home to have our worship service there for a while. In 1977, although there wasn't any electricity, heat, water, plumbing, Forrest still re-entered the building. Reverend Carl Jones started as an interim pastor and was installed as pastor of Forrest in December, and later resigned as pastor of Forrest. The associate minister, Reverend Roland Allen, served as interim pastor during this period. When Reverend Daniel Medito was installed as pastor, Reverend Medito resigned and Roland Allen again served as interim pastor. Reverend John O. Critterton accepted the call to become pastor of Forrest. In October 2008, Reverend Critterton resigned. The director of the youth ministry at Forrest, Reverend Jamal, served as interim pastor until August 16, 2009, where he became the lead pastor. In 2010, Reverend Nathaniel Bishop Jr. arrived in Louisville and began serving as Forrest youth and family pastor. In November 2015, Pastor Bishop began serving as the interim pastor and was called by the church to be the lead pastor in July 2016. And he was installed August 21st, 2016. Under the leadership of God and our under shepherd, Pastor Bishop, Forrest Baptist Church remains faithful and continues to be an instrument in the heart of Forrest. Today, Forrest Baptist has been led by pastors, with our current pastor making the 30th. Forrest was first served by Reverend Jacob Kellers and has been faithfully served by notable pastors including Reverend J.J. Lewis, Reverend E.F. Brooks, Reverend James Washington, Reverend Carl Jones, Reverend Daniel S.L. Medito, Reverend John O. Critterton, and Reverend Jamal E. Williams. Each assisted in growing Forrest Baptist numerically, financially, and spiritually.